All right, welcome to today's Explainer. We are jumping right into a really profound daily devotional text titled Divine Provision, the Compassion of the Great Provider. It's anchored in this ancient, super famous historical account from the Gospel of Matthew, specifically chapter 15. Now, whether you've heard this story 100 times or, this is literally your first time hearing it, the insights we're going to unpack here about compassion and provision are incredibly structured and, honestly, absolutely relevant to our everyday lives.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Our source material centers on a core quote from Matthew 15. Jesus actually calls his disciples over and says, "I have compassion for these people. They have already been with me 3 days and have nothing to eat. I do not want to send them away hungry, or they may collapse on the way." Now, what immediately strikes me here, and it really hits you, is the sudden, incredible shift in focus. We're moving from a massive, sweeping crowd of thousands of people, zooming right down to this intimate, incredibly detailed display of divine empathy. It's like Jesus isn't just looking at a blurry sea of humanity. He's looking at their exact physical reality.
Really think about the sheer physical stakes being laid out here. 3 days, nothing to eat, a serious, literal risk of collapse. This isn't just a mild inconvenience where you skip lunch. This is a full-blown survival situation. Picture it. You're out in the elements, miles away from home, completely caught up in the awe of what you're witnessing, but your body's running on empty. Fumes, really. This source material emphasizes this exact point to show us the stark, urgent reality of the problem this crowd is facing. They are literally on the verge of collapsing on the road.
So that brings us to section 1, the compassion of Jesus, exploring a God who cares deeply. Now, setting the scene here, while Jesus was spending all this time healing the sick and the hurting, addressing these profound spiritual and medical crises, he absolutely did not ignore their very basic physical reality. We see these huge crowds gathering around him. People are bringing the sick, he's healing them, and the crowd is so captivated that they just stay for days. But here is the absolute kicker. Jesus notices their physical hunger before anyone even speaks up. The source emphasizes that before a single person complains or, before a disciple points it out, Jesus proactively expresses compassion. He sees that physical need first.
Moving right along to section 2, noticing the unspoken needs, a focus on the people.
And this brilliantly illustrates the dynamic at play in the story. Notice the stark contrast here. The disciples react, completely logically, right? They focus on the problem. In their minds, it's a total logistics nightmare. There simply isn't enough food in this desolate place. But Jesus focuses on the people. The disciples see a massive deficit, but Jesus sees humans in need. His compassion immediately dictates that action absolutely must be taken. It's fascinating because they're looking at the exact same situation, but through entirely different lenses.
Now, the source text explicitly asks, why does this matter? Well, it matters because, let's be honest, sometimes the divine can feel a bit distant, right? Like it's completely unaware of what you're dealing with on a random Tuesday afternoon. But this ancient passage is presented to show us that Jesus notices even the needs you don't say out loud. He cares about your whole life, not just your spiritual state, but the whole shebang. Your daily struggles, your physical needs, your mental well-being, your exhausted body. He is intimately aware of your unspoken struggles.
So how does the text actually suggest applying this? Well, here are 3 actionable steps for lesson 1. Number 1, trust that Jesus sees what you're going through, exactly like he saw that hungry crowd. Number 2, bring your needs to him. Yep, even the small, seemingly insignificant ones. And number 3, rest in the truth that God cares deeply for you. The whole goal of unpacking this source text isn't just to, learn some historical story. It's to find a real sense of personal application and genuine rest in your own life today.
All right, shifting gears to section 3, providing more than enough, the multiplication moment.
Here is where we see exactly how that deep compassion turns into highly tangible physical provision. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the sheer mathematical impossibility of what happens next. The disciples brought forward all they could find, which was literally just a few loaves and fish. Yet, the outcome? Thousands of people fed, completely satisfied, and there were even leftovers. No way, right? The source text really wants us to zero in on the staggering scale of this miracle compared to the tiny, seemingly totally inadequate input they started with.
And this captures the absolute core theological point of the entire passage. What seemed completely insufficient becomes absolutely abundant in Jesus' hands. The text is making a really powerful claim here. It tells us that the nature of divine provision isn't just about barely scraping by. It's about taking severe lack and transforming it into overflowing, undeniable satisfaction. So, why does this specific multiplication matter for you? The text answers this directly, speaking right to our very human anxieties. It says that God is absolutely not limited by what you lack. What feels like not enough to you, whether that's, not enough time, not enough energy, not enough money, is more than enough for him to work with. When trust is placed in him, provision has this amazing way of arriving in completely unexpected, totally abundant ways. Which leads us nicely into Section 4, living out the message, applying the provision.
Now it's time to look at the practical application for this second major lesson. So the crucial point is how we actually do this in the real world. Here are the 3 steps for Lesson 2. First, offer what you have to Jesus, no matter how small. Just like those few loaves and fish, simply give what is in your hands. Second, trust him to provide in ways you cannot see yet. I mean, the disciples certainly couldn't see how thousands would eat from one small basket, right? And third, and honestly, this is such a powerful tool, remember past moments where God has provided for you. The text encourages us to actively look backward at the provisions in our own history as the building blocks for our future faith. The source material also includes this really beautifully written prayer of reliance, which we've summarized for you here. It invites us to just thank God for his compassion and care for every single part of life. It prompts us to ask for help, to trust that he truly sees our needs, yep, even the unspoken ones. And finally, it encourages praying for the ability to rely on him, rather than leaning solely on our own very limited understanding of how the logistics are going to work out.
And finally, we arrive at Section 5, Final Reflections. Looking forward.
Let's just take a moment to slow down here and really contemplate the weight of what this source text is offering us. The devotional leaves the reader with this short, incredibly powerful capstone phrase. It's just one word, really, expanded into a complete thought. Trust his provision. It is a definitive, super memorable anchor for everything we've looked at today. Basically, when you see lack, trust his provision.
To wrap things up, I want to leave you with the 2 exact reflection questions posed at the very end of our source text. Number 1, where do you need to trust that Jesus sees your needs? And number 2, how has past provision strengthened your faith today? I really want you to take those questions with you, chew on them a bit. Thank you so much for joining me for today's explainer, and keep learning, keep growing, and keep trusting.